Now that we've learned how to use the index and match functions together, let's look to tag on a couple of other very powerful functions in order to update our status field. Now, I want the status field to say open if a vulnerability has not been remediated and closed if a vulnerability has been remediated. And the way we're going to simulate this is we're going to copy our vulnerability from this sheet to another sheet, and then we're going to delete some of them. And when we delete some of the vulnerabilities, that will basically mean that they have been remediated and they are no longer showing up in the report. And so what I expect once I've entered my formulas would be that all the ones I've deleted, they would show up as closed on this sheet. And all the ones that have not been deleted, they will show up as open. So let's set that up right now. We're going to be doing some things you've learned before. So just follow along, right click to copy. Then go up to the move or copy, select that, then click on create copy, then click OK. So now I've made a copy of this sheet. I'm just going to change some things on it. I'm going to actually remove the status field and a couple of these fields that I don't need. And let me rename this tab as new report. So you come up to the rename, new report. Okay. So sheet 1 is our original report, and new report will be the new report. Now let's just randomly delete some of these vulnerabilities. No special order. You can do what you feel like. All we want to do is we want to simulate a situation where some of the vulnerabilities have been remediated. Now that we have deleted some of the vulnerabilities on new report, the new total sum of vulnerabilities in new report is 1,448. Remember, in our original report, it's 2,200. So I want to update the status column to show me open if the vulnerability shows up in new report, or closed if it's no longer in the new report. Now, I had to create a unique value that exists in both reports in order to do a comparison of one report to the other. Plugin ID is not unique because there could be different IP addresses that have the same plugin ID. IP address is not unique because there could be different IP addresses that have different plugin IDs. But one thing that should be unique is the plugin ID and IP address combination. So I created a new unique variable, which is a combination of the both of them. And the way I did that is I used the concatenate command. So I've already done it here, but just to show you how I did it, you just hit the equal sign, type concat, which is the concatenate command, open bracket, click on the first one you want to join with another one, hit the comma, and hit the second one. So the first one is plugin ID, the second one is IP address, close it, and there you go. I've concatenated it. And then after that, I just dragged it all the way down so that it concatenates all the others. Okay? So that's what I did there. I've already done it. So that's what you see here. And I also did it in the new report. You can see the new report also has the unique variable. Okay? So I'm just going to do a comparison of this unique variable in both reports. So I'm going to use the match, and this time I'm going to add on an if statement to the match in order to do this. So this is what it's going to look like. Let's start off with the match. If this unique variable, so you hit equals match, then you click on the unique variable, which is the lookup value, then you hit comma, and then you go to new report, and in this case I'm going to select the entire column I. I'm not just going to select the range from like 2 to 1,400. I'm going to select the entire column. This way I don't have to worry about putting in those dollar signs we talked about before, right? Because there's no numbers for me to lock into a range, right? I'm just going to select the entire range. So then I will hit comma and hit 0 and close it out. So this one exists. So let me drag this all the way down. Okay, so I've dragged it all the way down. And notice I clicked on the little circle at the top here, double clicked on it and dragged it all the way down. I didn't have to actually pull it all the way down. Now notice some of them have an A. The ones that have an A, this is an error message, basically telling me that it doesn't exist, right? So I'm going to use an if statement to make this look a little prettier, all right? So I'm going to come in front of match and type if, comma, is error. Now, the way an if statement works is, first of all, you type in the if statement, and then the first statement you put in the if statement is the logical test you're trying to test. So what I'm trying to test here is there an error? So if is error. So if this command that we used before, if this match command gives me an error, then what do I want to do? So if it gives me an error, that means it doesn't exist. So in which case I want to put in the status of closed. If it doesn't give me an error, I want it to give me the status of open. So you see, I've used an if statement, an is error statement, and a match statement to add a status column. Hit enter. There you go. Let's go back and look at it one more time. The if statement has three features, right? The first one is the logical statement. That's what you're testing. And then the second one is the results if the test is true. And the third one is the result if the test is false. So in the first field, I'm actually testing to see if there's an error. And if there is an error, then I'm going to say closed. And if there isn't an error, I'm going to leave it as open. Okay, so that's what this did. So now if I update it, there we go. So now all those ones that had errors are now saying closed. So we've created a status column. You can see the closed items and the opened items. Now we can filter by opened, we can filter by closed. We used if statement, is error statement, and match statement to create a status column. Now we use the index function and the match function to pull in the environment tags to our sheet. Finally, I want to be able to look at the due date, right? And I want to use an if statement together with a severity column to determine the due date, all right? So let me just show you how to do that. Now the due date will be, if it's a critical, the due date will be 15 days. If it's a high, the due date will be 30 days. And if it's a medium and low, the due date will be 90 days. And I'm just going to use an if statement to do that. If, then I'm going to check the severity, equals critical. Then, what do I do if it equals critical? Then the first discovered date plus 15 days is the due date, right? Then within that if statement, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do another if. If, so this is like a nested if. It's a new concept we're learning here. So within that, I'm going to say if that severity equals high, then I want to do first discovered date plus 30 days, right? And then what else is remaining? It's medium and low, and then for that, I'll just do first discovered day plus 90 days and close everything out, all right? So that's what it's going to look like. Let me double click on this little square down at the bottom here to drag it all down to the bottom. Okay. As you can see, it's in sequential dates. All I have to do is click on it. What do? You guys remember from the last lecture, right click, go down to format cells, then go to date. And there you have it. This one's a medium. So the due date is 90 days from June 20th, which is 3 months from June 20th. You can see that's correct. This one's a high, so it should be 30 days from August 6th, and that's 1 month. There you go. Let's look for a critical. This one's a critical. So a critical, all right. Well, critical is not right here, and I can already tell you why, because I spelled critical wrong. All right, so let's come here, change that to critical. All right, so there you go. It should be 15 days from this one, and now that's correct. So I spelled critical wrong on all of them, so we'll just come back here and change that. So it looks like it's working. Let's look at the lows. The lows should be 90 days. So I have a first date of September 3rd, first discovered date. 3 months later, there you go. A critical here, I have April 24th. It should be 15 days from that, May 9th. Correct. So you can see I used nested if statement to populate this column here. If the severity is a critical, then I add 15 days. Then within that if statement, I now said if severity is a high, I add 30 days. And then if it's not either of these, then add 90 days. Okay? In the next video, I'm going to show you how to use conditional formatting to highlight important dates.